beats and like nice slow
Yeah,
introduction.
It's I think it's been. I've had a strange old weekend. My wife actually had her little COVID jab this weekend.
Okay.
She's okay though, so that's good news. So we're all going now.
I've had my parents say that they've had their first round of jabs.
Yeah.
Which is all good. So I think over 50s now, I think everyone's pretty much
It sort of
been
gives my age
offered.
away a little bit, doesn't it, when I say that? Really. But,
We know now.
Yeah. 3 out of 4 of us have had it now. So
I've got
good.
one of those like Guess Who charts of people's ages. Just like, okay, so he's had it now, so he's got to be this age.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good to get back to something, a bit of normality now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in April, like April 8th, when I think another layer of restrictions are torn away, and we can have some haircuts, which I think I quite desperately need, because I've got like one long strand going over to the side here. So today we're talking about when you need to take a gamble, and you've obviously been a part, and you've obviously ran and owned many businesses.
Yeah.
So what would you say was one of the biggest gambles you've taken in your lengthy career?
I've taken a few. Some of them pay off. Some of them are a little bit less pay off, you know. But I think when you're in business, you do have to take a few risks and sort of weigh up the options of what you can do.
Yeah, you're never going to know for certain what's going to happen.
No,
like no one's a fortune teller. You know, you can predict as much as you can how things are going to turn out, but at the end of the day, something obviously like the times we're living in now happens.
So yeah, I mean, I'll give you. There's sort of 2 examples, I guess. One where this circumstance has changed things, but I think the first one that sort of sticks in my mind was when I was heavily involved in an escape rooms down in Plymouth here. It was the 5th escape room in the country, so we were one of the first ones to start. Started off in a little unit, put a couple of rooms in that unit. The business was growing.
Did you think of a few puzzles yourself?
Oh yeah. It's always good fun doing it. And actually, it's really a hard thing to do, that side of things. But we'd set up these 2 rooms. The business is ticking over. It's growing nicely. We're getting more and more people coming through the doors. And all of a sudden, the whole escape room thing was getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I remember that buzz, because at the point in time I was like, oh yeah, I really want to go to one. I never did in the end.
Yeah. And we're starting to notice we were the only ones in Plymouth, but all of a sudden there's another one popping up, and then there's another one popping up. And you start to think, hang on a minute, we've got to start thinking about where we want to position ourselves, because suddenly we're not the only ones out there. We've got to set ourselves above everybody else, all this competition that's suddenly appearing on the horizon. And it was spreading into Cornwall and different. So all our revenue streams, which were coming in, they would travel to come and see us. Yeah. Suddenly, a bit more competition.
You needed to be that go-to, like the synonymous to the escape room brand. It needed to be. This is where you go. This is going to be us. This is our big.
This is it. You wanted to be the number one. When anybody wanted to do something, that's what you wanted to do. So we were looking at the business, we looked at what was going on, and we also were thinking, actually, now it's becoming more popular, the corporate side of the business would need to grow. And we weren't in a position to do that. The actual premises themselves wouldn't allow us to do that.
Yeah.
So we decided really, and it was a bit of a gamble, because it was a huge investment and a huge amount of time and effort to take the premises where we were and actually basically look for somewhere else.
That's a big deal, because you've constructed this escape room, and it's hard to take this like big giant locked box and put it somewhere else.
You've built walls, you've built all sorts of things, and it's really hard just to move over and do all that sort of thing.
I guess you have to reinforce the walls as well, because a lot of people will be like, I know how to do this, I'll use my head, Toy Story style, and just run up the door.
Yeah, they're always really good at breaking things. So, I basically looked at what we could do and how we could do this, and what the future, I think basically what the future would look like. So basically what we did is we looked at a couple of premises, and one of them wasn't ideal, but it would really suit us for the time that we were in.
Yeah.
And what it allowed us to do was double the amount of escape rooms. So we went from 2 escape rooms to 4 escape rooms. And also it allowed us to put a really big social area together, if you like. So we had a bar.
Oh, that's really handy. Yeah.
We had a kitchen in there that we could now start cooking food.
And that's a gamble in itself, because if you're now going from an escape room to more leisure, or dining as well, and there's a lot of, you obviously need more licenses. So it's a huge investment in that.
It was. So suddenly we got a bar in there. So now we, like you say, more licenses. Suddenly we're catering with food, so that all the things that come along with food. But what we knew is that if we took that gamble and took that risk, that we would again, step above all our competitors, because escape rooms, they were starting them up in little one rooms, or, you know, and although they were taking some business, what we then did is retarget where our business is. We'd still get all that, the general public business, but we were then looking at all the corporate side as well. So the gamble in that.
Not talking about board meetings now. It would be someone sat in an escape room doing a board meeting, but sorry, John, you're going to have to let you go. And then he's them trying to fiddle with the door. I'd be like, I'm trying to leave, I'm sorry.
But it allowed us, the scale of it then allowed us to cope with a lot more things. You know, you've got 4 rooms, you're talking about, you know, we had up to 80 people at one point. So
because obviously you would need more of, you need more staff in, you need more people to look after the building as well.
But with the corporate clients, we could deal with big volumes of corporate clients, because we could put them in the escape rooms and they could be playing those. But because we've got this large area outside, this functional area, we could then also be doing different conferencing bits with them, or playing different role games or whatever it is that suited their whole needs. So the whole day, you know, they could be with us for a whole day, whereas we couldn't do that before. We were in a tiny little space before.
Yeah, I guess before it was you go in, you run the escape room, and then you go out, and then obviously they couldn't linger, they couldn't discuss what happened. You know, it was immediately just go outside, and then it would be like a mingle. That also kind of goes against the foot traffic you get in as well. It can block people from just standing outside and talking.
Yeah.
So obviously you need that social element to it.
Yeah.
So the gamble in itself was, where do you go? The new location's a big gamble. It's how much we invest, and then it was the avenues you went down as well.
And also we had to do that migration. So we had to still be functional and generating income and money, and still get the new one up and running, and then that quick transition. So we had to, you know, do this whole quick move over we moved the existing games over, but had the 2 new games running at the same time.
So when did you decide to do that? Was that when you was figuring out that more people were joining Plymouth, or was you looking at your budget?
I think it was when we just realised that there was this explosion of escape rooms was becoming very popular.
Yeah.
And once we then realised that there were other people coming on board, and there's some franchises out there which really, you know, they throw an awful lot of money at what they're doing. So we just knew that we needed to make some sort of change, otherwise we'd just get swallowed up.
Yeah.
You know, and we knew we were better than that, and we knew that we could come up with a better offering than some of the other competitors that were coming along. So, yeah, that was when really we decided to take that risk, take that gamble.
Yeah, when you see times changing, and when you see obviously business moving in another direction, obviously with the times that we're currently in now, we're going to see a lot of change going forward, because as soon as these restrictions are limited, the budget starts coming in, and more money's being flown into the economy now, we're going to see probably a huge boom in business.
Yeah.
So having an offering and having a business available to take in that money now is going to be a huge deal.
Yeah.
So people are now going to be dealing with a gamble, or business owners are going to start with the gamble of, when do they take people off their furlough? When do they build up their business? When do they start scaling their business? So that time to take a gamble now is kind of upon them to decide.
Yeah, I think every business is now in that position, pretty much. You know, they've had staff off working remotely, they've had staff on furlough, and it's how you now just gradually work that position back in and get your business back on track and start to make it grow again. And you will need to you know there will be a point where you now need to, I mean, if you survive this long through what we've been through, you know, there's a lot of businesses that have struggled and haven't survived. If you survive now's the time to take a bit of a risk, get your name out there, get your brand out there. Start building those relationships again. If you've let them slip a little bit, you know, it's a really good time to get back to your client base and just let them know we're coming back. You know, we thank you for all your support, if they've carried on supporting you through. And you know,
instead of rebuilding using the original blueprints, I think it's time you can redesign and then put some money into some new projects or some new avenues you're going down. Because when you're locked in a set way of doing things, and something like this can also offer a bit of an opportunity for you to sort of pivot and move, and then obviously redesign and reconstruct, so to have more of a fortified sort of business plan. Yeah,
I think a lot of people are probably diversified in what they do. They've had a look at their business.
We have.
Yeah, we certainly have. Look at the model and say, right, you know, what can we do? Well, how can we still deliver a really good service or deliver really good value? But we've got to change the way that we do it.
Because we was very face-to-face event-based for quite a while, and we were building up this digital platform we've got now. And now we've got obviously the live show, the live studio, the live training courses, and we're developing courses and free sessions continuously.
Yeah.
But that was never a case a couple years ago. This was something that happened that we were developing, but then due to the nature of the world right now, we streamlined it and made it forward like that.
Yeah.
So that's a big gamble that we took ourselves, knowing that people were still willing to get this training and start selling more.
Yeah.
And also people are selling on social a lot more because it's all they've got the opportunity to do currently.
Yeah. And going back to when we talked about the circumstances, when you take my previous business, the one that I did before this one, it wasn't so much of a gamble. I was it was a social project for me it was an indoor soft play area.
Yeah.
So I wasn't thinking that was much of a gamble. It was the business was working quite nicely. It was growing, expanded. I was helping the community. I was letting, and then COVID came along.
Yeah.
So, and that's where the gamble didn't pay off, I guess, if you like. But you can't foresee those sort of things. This is what we're saying. No matter how much planning and how much you try and look into the future, gamble is still a gamble.
Yeah, when you take a risk and it doesn't pay off, obviously it can hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
And it can be very frustrating. It can be demotivating.
Yeah.
But then it's having the confidence and then the courage to take another risk when that happens. Because what people can do is go, oh, I tried that before, didn't work, and then I was scared to go for it again in case taking that gamble didn't pay off last time.
Yeah.
But the whole nature of a gamble is it can go either way a lot of the time.
You've got to learn from it.
Yeah.
You've got to learn from it. I think, again, going back to my business advisor days, the amount of businesses that I would see that would start up and probably fail it's quite high.
Yeah.
But what the retake on business, so you get a business owner that then starts up again, and eventually, they may fail once, they may fail twice, but normally by the third time, they really come up with a business that was really, really working.
Yeah, you get the success stories. You get your Muskers and your Gates and your Steve Jobses.
Yeah. I mean, that's Richard Branson, Virgin. I mean, how he's been down on the breadline and gone straight back up again, hasn't he?
Exactly.
He's learned from it. And you've got to take. Sometimes in business, you just have to take those sort of risks. And actually, the majority of the time, it's a calculated risk and they do pay off.
Yeah. When you've got the right knowledge behind it, you say, I like the phrase, I took a calculated risk, but I was bad at math, because I can come across. But yeah, if you have the right knowledge behind it, you can take a gamble, which isn't really a gamble at all. It can be a straight line. Okay, this might work out for me, but I know for a fact I've got all this in play to make it work for me the best way. I
think, we call it a gamble, but a lot of the time, most people have worked through the scenarios, worked through the plans. And there's always, like we say, there's always a risk element, but actually you mitigate those risks. You put things in place that sort of, make it say it's a gamble, but actually, you're pretty safe in what you're doing.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for coming down, Martin.
No, that's all right.
Into my lovely little layer of Maverrik life. Speaking of gambles, there's one thing you shouldn't gamble with that now, and that is your LinkedIn profile. Because if it's not optimized correctly, you won't get the right amount of sales and revenue from it. This is a lovely little segment I've got built up here. We are running a free profile optimization course tomorrow with Terry, who will be on Wednesday's Maverrik Live, actually. And he'll guide you through having the right profile, the right heading, the right branding. Also, you can instill the right amount of authenticity to your profile to generate more leads and more sales. It's a fantastic free training course. It's taken over years of us, developing our social selling on LinkedIn, and it's really helped all of our profiles and everyone we work with to generate a lot of business. So make sure you catch up on that. It's free to register. We'll probably put a link on, I'll put in the comments of the social feed if this is on, or you can head over to our Eventbrite page or onto our Maverrik page on events. But thank you once again, Martin, for coming down.
Thanks for inviting me in.
This has been Maverrik Live. Have a wonderful Monday, and we will see you on Wednesday for our next show.